of the water. How do we drink the water of source so that we know how to make decisions based on being in flow and not being in flow?
Mm-hmm.
How do we do this?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
So there is, oh my gosh, I forgot. It's Tibetan. Is it Tibetan? Now I'm confused. I think it is. The concept of tsewa, Tsewa, gentleness, tenderness, okay, and cultivating that tenderness versus not. And so there is a practice based on that. And then my own version of this practice based on this, okay? Because we don't have access to these types of teachings except for YouTube and books in our own internal compass. But, you know, cultivating this ability of being in flow versus not being in flow, it's not just how you imagine you need to be. Like, I'm a good person. Okay, that's not it.
What's good?
Yeah, what's good. So the concept of sewa is cultivating tenderness. And tenderness is the only word in English that really captures this idea of active love where you can feel this in your body. And I, with my students, speech therapy students for social language, not spiritual students, we talk about this, not sewa. We talk about how to cultivate your intuition as a guide. And the reason why this is important is because these young adults that I work with and younger and whatever, older, sometimes don't have a great compass by the time they get to me on how to protect themselves. So they might end up in situations where they are used, where they take on too many shifts at work. Or they might end up in situations where people use them to take their money because they're just kind of innocent in that way. And or they might end up in situations with dating problems where they don't know how to say no, I don't like you, or don't touch me. They're just very innocent to that, and they have to have an internal system that is based on something stronger than all the books in the world and protocols. And so
what parents tell them.
Yeah, because it doesn't always work. And so we're trying to cultivate this internal guidance that is more than that. And it's based on something very deeper. And it's I call it the compass method. And I use it with my kids and at home too myself. Every day I'm cultivating this. You use it too. And so like we talk about like the right side of our body. I don't know what I'm making up here, okay? But I think the right side and the left side, it's not technically anything, but the right side is more of that tenderness feeling, like petting a cat, a fuzzy cat. You know how they like put their head up against you? Yeah, I have a dog, but that feeling of like love and cuddling or like holding a baby, that feeling, that's what that is. I call it the warm fuzzy feeling. We want to cultivate more of that in your life. The other side is icky. It's an icky feeling. And so we go through and we go, what kind of things make you feel this warm, fuzzy feeling? And everybody's not the same, but in general, humans are kind of predictable. Warm blankies, cuddles from people that we love, and pets. Animals are like the easiest to feel that with, I think. Because human connections, it gets cloudy for them. Icky, we talk about things like when someone makes fun of you, when someone talks over you, when someone walks away after you tell your personal story, acting like they didn't hear it. It can get really tricky for these young people because it's not always the same people that you think are warm and fuzzy in your life versus icky. Because sometimes you may not feel that with your family members. Sometimes you may find that, wait a minute, my interactions with, you know, whoever, my best friend, actually feel icky and they're draining my cup. So we talk about filling your cup and draining your cup. Anyway, because if you don't nurture that, you're not in source. And it gets more fine-tuned to where even it doesn't mean like a selfish thing, like I only do what makes me happy all the time, but there is an element to that because
tending to yourself,
you're living this life for yourself. This is your experience. This is the gift. But it also leads you to a place of clarity where you can do greater feats like Gandhi ended up being able to do, where he knew being in source felt this way so much that he was still able to go on a hunger strike, and it felt more at peace in him with this love than not. Okay. Or Rosa Parks in the bus type stuff, I imagine. She knew that taking a stand for that at the time was more aligned with warm fuzzy than not.
Yeah.
But you have to do this as a practice, and you have to relearn this because little children totally have it. When you come out of the womb, you know what warm fuzzy is. And then we consistently teach them to ignore their intuition.
Yeah. That's the compass, intuition.
That's the compass.
Is beginning to recognize the intuition, because so many of us, and I can speak for myself, just the way that I was raised and religiously raised, is to not trust my intuition. So she's talking about her young students, and then Megan also
I'm talking about my
mentioned,
students who are on, which are neurodivergent students. A lot of times they end up having this.
but it's all people.
But it's all people.
All people, because we have a journey. Each of us have
And
our own
it
journey.
gets really tricky. You have to let go of those labels. You have to let go of father, mother, husband, wife, and those obligations.
Mm-hmm.
And you focus on the relationship. And
On
is
the
the relationship filling your cup?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And if it's not, you got to think about your experience of life. And so this gets kind of tricky. And I don't push my kids and students to go that far, but that's their own journey. But I have to give them a base
Some tools for examining.
Yeah.
The
And for
warm
us,
fuzzy or the
that's the practice that we're talking about that leads you to that type of strength where you can be led by the spirit to stand up for bigger things. And other people are led to not.
Yeah.
And it's okay because it's all part of that same water, that same force that's in the material and the immaterial, all working out for the good.
Seemly and the unseemly.
Yeah, okay. The comely and the uncomely body parts. Well, it's seemly and unseemly in some other translations. Where if you're completely lost in the Bible, there's a part about how we're all parts of the body and we're all important, even the comely and the uncomely parts. And it is a joke we have over and over, like which body part is that person? But
sometimes we're really in.
But they're all important, and they're all, you cannot
for the functioning of the whole
amount. You can't live without sphincters.
There you go. Oh, she did.
How to do it.
Okay.
But they're important. You will die. The whole will die. So that is important. I couldn't help it. Come on. The biblical writers probably cracked up when they wrote that. Maybe if Shakespeare did translate the King James, I'm sure he put that in there and had a field day.
I think God using the word like that has a sense of humor too.
We do. So we are.
There we go. And the Tao or the way or God is within us all. Yeah.
And so we have to flow like water. And so I think it's very important if this is a new way for you. Now, we already said it a little earlier. Very important that this is not a one lifetime deal. I don't know about reincarnation, but I am talking about the whole. So right now, like in our political stuff on the news, every day I try not to get on social media and do this, but it's hard to not just even come across one thing that I'm like, what? Are we in some alternate time period? What is going, this makes no sense in any realm of humanity for most of us that are living. I'm shocked. Where's people's feelings about anything? Anyway, so I get on there and I'm like, where is this, And it's, I imagine other people live through this kind of time period. I imagine Germans who were in the time period of Nazi Germany were like, what is going on?
Yeah.
What do we do? What do we do? Well, you just keep going.
Well, you go ahead and fix your supper and you go ahead and wash your clothes, and it's like
chop wood, carry water. You keep going ahead and doing it and living the best you can in the flow because you're part of that cog, part of that, you're a cog and the part of the machine that will work out for the common good. It may not be in your lifetime, and it's okay because we're just like water. We evaporate and are still part of the whole.
Yeah. Agree with that.
It may not mean that in our lifetime we get a mansion right now or later. And the Bible talks about, when we talk about Jesus's, what is that verse where he talks about how you're going to, even some of you are standing here and you're going to see him. That's the only way that makes sense to me. It wasn't
like
about,
I'm thinking of probably a different verse, but there'll be people giving childbirth. There'll be people, during hard times. There'll be people. See, I have a different verse on my mind than you do, but so these things have always come and gone. These tumultuous times have always come and they've always gone, and to have trust and faith in the flow of things, that there is a control.
And it's like this.
Mhm.
I do think it is instead of this.
Mhm,
I do think it's
mhm.
this.
For the good,
Yeah,
eventually,
and
whatever
sometimes
good means.
people have to learn it in a way, in a collective way, and on an individual way that makes you feel like you're getting smacked upstream. Because if you're going to hold on to your stick of control, you're going to get hit by a whole lot of stuff in the flow. If you would really like to sit your bottom in the stream and dam it up and then get smacked by flood waters, feel free to do that. That's fine. If you want to trust, not trust your inner intuition and say that we have to do it my way to control the earth, it's going to be painful.
Yeah.
And so we have to learn that lesson.
And then some people, and I can even, myself included, can say, I cannot doing this anymore, and I let go. And I'm in the process of learning how to do that.
So even on a very basic level, it's not predeterminism, but on a basic level, little things that happen in life, such as, oh my goodness, I hit the traffic jam again. I'm going to be 5 minutes late for work, and this is going to happen at my meeting, and the kids are going to hate me later because now I'm 5 minutes late for their therapy session, and they're going to be mad, and everything's going to fall apart for the whole rest of the day. You got to trust that that was part of the flow. Maybe you missed a car accident.
Yeah, those kind of things.
Maybe somebody at the meeting needed to learn how to be gracious. Maybe you needed to learn, whatever. Maybe you needed to learn that it's okay to mess up. I tell people all the time that I work with, especially like stutterers, I need you to expose yourself to talking out loud with your stutter. I need you to do it because we need to normalize this. You give permission to all the people listening to you to not have to be perfect all the time just by existing. I know that's hard, and we talk, there's many steps involved to getting
and that's
there.
with anything else.
It's the same
That
with
is a struggle. Yeah.
We got to show up.
Talking about these things, we kind of go, ooh.
We got to show up. I mean, we know that the people that watch this are men, and we know that the people that subscribe have been men, and it's okay, but I think it's hard.
That wasn't our plan.
No, well, we're not having yoga time.
Yeah.
I mean, we know that life, we know what we're competing against. Life is made it hard for females to be able to find the time and the not just time, but to be able to take the risk to change spiritual beliefs, because you're talking about like house safety, marriage safety, family safety.
Yeah,
it's so interconnected still. And so we have decided probably our whole lives, unfortunately or fortunately, to say, please show me the way, God. Increase the faith in me. I want to do that. Yay. And instead of giving up and saying, I'm going to maintain this obligation,
no matter how yucky it is,
I'm going to let go.
Yeah.
And this has been generations coming. Generations coming. And there will be generations after us.
So anyway.
But that, yeah. That
I
goes
do pray every day. God, guide my feet in the direction you would have me go. And so.
Show that book.
So this is The Courage to Be Disliked, and it's about Adlerian psychology. And Megan told me about this, and I've just started reading the book.
Heard about it from a wonderful person who was also in the flow on the Reddit enlightenment community. Because, we're all in there trying to figure out what in the world we're doing. Please help me. Are there some breadcrumbs? So this wonderful book. So who was Adler? Okay. Adler was a father of psychology who was a contemporary of Freud. Contemporary of Freud. And he thought that all struggles are interpersonal. And this is related to the Tao, because this book took off like crazy, like hotcakes in Eastern countries.
Europe.
No, Japan.
Oh, sorry
did not take off in Europe.
Right.
Because
I think it was started there. They didn't like it. That's what.
No. Russia. It's written. No, it's written here. It's written by some Japanese people,
Mm-hmm.
and this translated into English now.
Yeah.
People were like, I love this. Why? Because Adlerian psychology kind of aligns with Taoist type of beliefs. And that if you're not in the, he doesn't say in the flow, but if you're not in the flow, it's going to be pretty crummy interpersonally.
Mm-hmm.
And so it talks about the courage to be disliked. And that's pretty cool. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, but I think there's a step further we can talk about right before we wrap up about how I think it might be intrapersonal.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All struggle comes from
And
intrapersonal.
that's really what he boils down to as I'm reading more in there is like
that conflict.
That conflict.
Is who should I be? Who could I be?
Like if you feel like one, and this book is so cool because it's a dialogue.
And Socratic dialogue.
And it's like the philosopher and the student or the youth.
Yeah.
Anyway, and one of the things was inferiority. And the little youth, the young man, was going, I feel so inferior to other people or whatever. And so then the philosopher starts asking him questions in the Socratic method about, and eventually guides the young man into recognizing, oh, I'm feeling inferior, and it's something I'm doing to myself.
It's to myself.
Yeah.
It's not about anybody else in the whole world. We're not in a competition with anybody else, which is hard in a capitalistic society. We are all on the same plane instead of a ladder. We're on the same plane, and some of us are closer to the edge up here, and some of us are behind, but we're not going anywhere. We're just anyway. And so the courage to be disliked makes you confront that and become the type of person that can be led by tsewa or tenderness and can display that to others. And once you have been on the receiving end of a tsewic, I don't know if that's a word, tsewic relationship, a tenderness relationship, there's nothing that competes with that. So you can move mountains, you can change the world. Even if you're at home just with your children.
Yeah.
Or your dog.
Which is important.
Or your cashier. If you can, instead of getting angry, and I tell you what, this book confronts every single one of those things, getting angry at the restaurant or anything. It rips away all those layers of ego. They knew what they were doing.
I know when the philosopher, one little scenario is the philosopher is saying, I'm short. People tell me I'm short. And I can say, hey, that makes me feel inferior. He goes, or I can say, hey, that makes me more approachable to people and being able to talk to people, and they
feel more trust
in me and comfort from me.
And that the flow wanted him to be short and that he did not enter into the wrong body.
Yeah.
And
anyway.
Yeah, we can go in depth on that another time.
Yeah.
Even about disabilities and such. I know that's hard, but things have been coming to light that maybe we were very wrong on some of the disabilities, especially the most impacted ones. So our little non-speaking autistic students.
Yeah.
Holy moly.
Yeah. We have so many things opening up.
That's amazing
to think about.
Yeah, all those breadcrumbs. Let you know. Okay, well, this has been Sacred Soul Mornings with my mom.
In the same house.
In the same house. We're going to talk about the next chapter next time because we go chapter by chapter. The next chapter is chapter 8, which is called Letting Go.
Yeah, letting go.
Probably of that stick that you're holding on to in the flow.
Yeah, right. Probably. We'll find out.
And it's okay because you can be disliked. I love this book.
All right.
All right, that's it. We did it.
Okay.
All right. See you next time. Oh, and subscribe. Thank you, subscribers.
And the journey.
Oh, yeah. The journey. Why don't you just do it? Life's a journey, not a checklist of any sorts. Not a Confucius checklist, not a Jesus checklist, not a, let's name all the checklists.
Created by men, people.
And women.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Okay.
Dogs. They're checklists.
Still with you, Megan, but bye, everybody.
Enjoy the ride.
Enjoy the ride.
Bye.